I hope everybody's doing well today. Today I'm wearing a hat. I'm sporting a new look. Hope everybody's doing well. It's still cloudy and gloomy outside. But today we're going to look on page 2, which says solving equations. And the one thing I want you to remember when solving equations is don't freak out. Because when you look over here and you see what I used to call an alligator or an inequality sign, right? Don't freak out because the only difference between this and this problem here is just these signs. You still go about solving it the same way every single time. You're solving for whatever the whatever the variable is going to be. In this case, we're dealing with the x, and for the most part, we always do. So whatever happens on one side, you got to remember to do on the other side. So we build the wall, just like we're doing right now. We're building walls, okay? Keep the virus out and everything else in. So in this case here, if I'm solving for x, I want to get rid of that positive 3. The only way to cancel that out is to do the opposite of positive 3, which is to subtract 3. Whatever I do on one side, you got to do on the other side, which is a negative 3. I draw the line, which means is when you have a positive and negative, they cancel out. That's gone. And then what I can do nicely now is just go ahead and drop down my x. I have my inequality there, and a negative 5 minus 3 would give me a negative 8. Same thing happens in our little problem here to the right. It's the same problem, same steps. The only difference is we have an equal sign. This says x is greater than a negative 8, right? So the cool thing is when they want you to graph it on the equal on your line, go ahead, put a 0, go ahead, put a 5. Over here, I'm going to put negative 8. And the cool thing is, see this little blue thing right here? This little alligator, if I took a line right out of there and did that, it looks like it's an arrow pointing that way. Well, that's it. At negative 8, I'm going to leave an open circle, and I'm drawing a line that points this way. Okay, whenever you get one of these, this is when you would draw, let's say here, it's the same line. Here's 0, here's 5, here's negative 8. You would put in a dark circle with an arrow still going that way. It's the only difference between greater than or equal to or just plain greater than. So that's the fun there. Hopefully not confusing y'all, but that's it. On this equation, it's the same thing. Go ahead, build a wall, which means is whatever I do on one side of the wall, you do to the other side. So you got a negative 3, a negative 3. You're left with x equals a negative 8. So the biggest thing you have to remember is do not overthink math. That's the problem with math. Too much of us start thinking, does it make sense, all this? No, just do what the rule says. Whatever you do on one side, do to the other. Keep it simple, keep it smart, have fun, enjoy your day. And should we do one more? Let's skip down to number 5. How are we doing on time?
3 minutes in.
Oh, I shim. Okay. If you take a number 5 and number 7, I want to knock those out of the park if we can. Or we're going to do the example real quick. So if we have 3x minus 6, let's give you the tough one, might as well. So if we got negative 3x plus 2 is greater than or equal to 14. Same way as before, build the wall, make it strong, all that good stuff. If you split it right here, there's a purpose. Plain numbers on one side, x on the other. So if the x is here, we're protecting it. We have to get rid of this 2. What's the opposite of positive 2? Negative 2, negative 2. So there we go. These cancel out. You drop down your 3x. You have your sign. 14 minus 2 is 12. Now, this last little part here means 3 times something makes 12. This goes back to your times tables. What's the opposite of times? Divide. Divide this by negative 3, divide this by negative 3. Negative 3's cancel out. You're left with x greater than or equal to 12 minus 3 gives you 4. One little crazy rule here is whenever you divide by a negative, when you divide by a negative in inequalities, you have to flip. Divide by a negative, flip sign. So the x stays the same, the 4 stays the same. Now you have to switch there's your flip. So there's your final answer. If you were to graph this sucker, here's 0, here's 4. It's got a line underneath it. It's a darkened circle. Which way is that arrow facing? That way. There we go. Have a great day. Toodaloo.